Now, back to Gary Rivers on WHBC.
Well, good morning. We have another big slate of guests coming up here. My next one, though, I want to talk to John a little bit about this before we get to Abid. You and I started this conversation, was it yesterday? About cell phones in schools. And I'm a big believer there should be no home personal electronics / cell phones brought to the schools. I just think it just messes with the dynamics and takes away from what they're supposed to be doing. And you actually said, what are you talking about? That I was wrong on this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with if you have a cell phone at school.
Why not?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that sometimes it could
even
be,
in the classroom?
I think it could be useful from time to time. It would allow the kid maybe to look something up if
I really
they're at
just
class.
think this is an age difference thing or something between you and I, because I don't understand. To me, I mean, I realize I went there when they were teaching Sanskrit, but that's another story. The electronics, it interferes with the classroom, doesn't it? I mean, it's just, I don't understand. Well, anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about that because I thought we're going to set this up and maybe let our guy. What's that?
Oh, sorry. Let me.
Seriously, John?
Let me get that.
You've got your phone in the.
Let me get that real fast.
Hello, Abid. Good morning.
Hey, Gary. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to have you along here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
That's all right. John and I, my producer, were arguing about this same thing, technology in the classroom here. I'm a firm believer there shouldn't be anything in the classroom. What's your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree with you, Gary, that I think cell phones have no place whatsoever, in my opinion, in the schools at all.
Now, I've let my son take it to school, but he has to keep it in the locker.
Yeah, the study indicates that even, when the schools say you're not going to allow to have the phone, the kids have it. And, yeah, you have to kind of keep it in the locker, but that doesn't work all the time, according to the research. It's just not true.
Well, because the kids are going to try to bring it into study hall. They're going to try to bring it into classrooms that they're bored with, and they want to watch their favorite YouTube video while they're in class.
Yeah, I mean, kids use phones for cheating. There's enough studies done, Gary, to indicate that cell phones are addictive, and we know that as an adult, right? When we are sort of driving a car and with a stoplight and we pick up the phone. Cell phones are designed to be addictive.
All right, tell me your background on all of this. I know you're an expert in technology, but give us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Even though I don't have an education technology background, I've done several startups in the technology. The latest one is called iCode. It's iCodeschool.com. We teach kids programming and robotics in a very fun sort of environment. We also teach kids, the soft skills that I believe, Gary, are even more important than programming, such as collaboration, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, teamwork, time management. These are skills that are absolutely transferable. So not only I think technology or kids learning technology is important, but also I think it's important for the kids to be social and learn those soft skills.
And if they're on their cell phones, I mean, I've seen that time and time again. They can actually hide it because they can stick little earbuds in their ears. You don't even know they're listening to a video while they're in the classroom.
Yeah, I mean, because cell phones are addictive as nicotine, alcohol, and other drugs. I mean, they've been proven again and again. It actually impacts the brain development in kids. There have been a study done in terms of the amount of time kids spend on phones and what is happening to the grade. There's actually a half a grade reduction for the kids who are addicted to phones.
Wow. All right, you're the founder of iCode, which is an after-school program that gives hands-on curriculum. Is there any room for technology in what you're doing with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think technology has a place. I mean, if you look at any research, according to the World Economic Forum, 65% of the jobs of the future are not even created yet. So we're going to have most of the jobs of the future are going to be the technology. And I'll give you some of the titles of the jobs that we don't even have today in terms of virtual store manager. Amazon sort of, having stores with nobody in it. robot mediator, robot trainer, drone traffic controls. I mean, you see the shutdown at Gatwick and Heathrow.
Oh my God, drone traffic control. I guess you'd have to have that, wouldn't you?
You tell me about it. I mean, we had 3 airports shut down because of drones around the airports. This is a funny one. Robot Sherpas.
Robot what?
Sherpas.
What?
Yeah, data junkies, because the amount of data that we're creating on a daily basis. I mean, 90% of all the data created to date has been created in the last 2 years. Believe it or not.
Oh my gosh. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse because more and more people doing more and more things. But most of that data, I mean, I think about it. How much of the YouTube videos and Facebook posts are just fluff? It's probably 95% of it or more.
Yeah. I mean, you know how many Instagram posts we do every minute?
I have no idea.
46,750 photos are uploaded every minute on Instagram. We do 15 million texts a minute. A minute.
Oh, my gosh. Well, and that's how we're communicating today. But we're communicating via text. We're not talking to each other.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing with the phones, Gary, is the whole epidemic of depression and anxiety. I mean, kids are looking at how many likes do I have, right? Once I post something, I'm constantly looking to see how many likes I have, how many dislikes, how my friends, how many likes they have, how many friends we have. This is just causing kids depression, anxiety, insecurity. I mean, the phones are being used for cyberbullying. When you have phones in schools, yes, they could leave it in the locker, but then what happens when in the break? They could go and take inappropriate photos and get posted on the net or use that for bullying. I mean, there's no need for kids having, phones in the schools. They provide nothing. I mean, I think technology has a place. I think to learn, and iCode is one of those sort of institutes that actually teaches kids how to create technology, not necessarily use technology, because using technology is just playing with it. But I think actually learning how to create technology is a lot more fun. It gives them confidence, because when you could write a software code and have a hardware do something, it builds their confidence level. And the programming is the language of today and the future. If the kids don't know that, they're at a severe disadvantage.
Well, I'm seeing this particular topic debated in area schools. Now, if I recall, this whole debate, I think, started with me was when I saw back in, I want to say the late summer, that the French government passed a law that banned cell phones in all schools. That shocked me that they did it, but they haven't had enough time to really analyze its effects, because it just started, my guess is like August, September of this year.
Yeah. And not only just France, I mean, Sweden has banned phones, England, Denmark are considering banning. And, European, countries are children's, from an education perspective, documented that are much ahead of where the U.S. kids are. So if they're doing something, and obviously they've done some research to indicate that that's the right thing to do, I think we have to look. We have to consider that as well.
My guess is they're not on Fortnite 20 hours a day. I'm going to go wild on a whim there. But on the other hand, I've heard, what about the safety factor? I mean, here in America, we worry about our kids going to school, and who knows what's going to be taking place, who's going to be lurking in our hallways. We're working on that, and everybody wants their kids to make sure they have a cell phone handy so they can contact somebody if something goes down.
That is true, but also at the same time, it could be very dangerous. For instance, if there's an active shooter in the school and your kid's phone rings, guess what? Your kid is becoming a target for that active shooter, right? Or the kid's trying to have conversation. When you have an active shooter, does that really help?
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Right. So you've got to weigh the two. And besides, my theory is the phone, if it goes to school at all, and it's a safety factor from standing out there by the bus all the way until they get to school, it should be in the locker and not available for them the rest of the day in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, the schools are teaching kids delayed gratification, right? If you study well, if you do well, you're going to do well in life. Whereas the internet is instant pleasure.
Yeah.
And so it's completely opposite of why kids are going to school.
Yeah, and the cell phone's distraction, and the one thing we don't want them to have when they're at school is a distraction. You want them focused on the schoolroom, the classroom, the things they're supposed to do at hand. What do you think about the electronics there? But in the regular classroom, using the computers and the laptops and the iPads that they're handing out to the kids, I think that has a lot of good merit in it because that's teaching them the skills that they can use when they get out of school.
That is true. Actually, there's a research done on kids who are taking notes by hand and kids typing notes in the computer. And the research indicates that the kids who actually write out rather, with hand score much better than the kids who take notes on the computer.
We've got a student in my studio right now. John, what do you think we should ask her about? Let's take a vote right now. Can you hold on a second, Abid? Let's ask.
Sure.
And who are you?
Isabel,
can you get a little closer to the microphone there? What grade are you in?
6th.
All right, I'm talking to an expert on technology, and he's telling me that kids should not be allowed to have cell phones in school at all. Tell him what's on your mind. What do you think?
Well, at our school, we usually have parking lots where we store our phones during class so we don't go on it.
Oh, so you're not allowed to have them in the classroom?
No, we're not.
Okay, just between you and me, no one's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe a few. Anybody been known to sneak the phones in the school?
No.
Are you making that up, or is that?
No.
Okay, she tells me the kids are all honest, Abid. I don't know. Thank you so much.
The statistics, Gary, is completely different. 65% of the teenagers that have cell phones still use them at school, even though it's banned.
65%?
Yes.
You know what it is? That's because they tested my kids. That's probably a straight A student right there who wouldn't dream of doing anything. That's awesome.
Here's the other funny thing. Almost 35% of the students admit to using their cell phones to cheat. But guess what? 66% of the students agree that the other students use their phone to cheat.
Right. It wasn't them. It was the other students.
They're completely opposite. Yeah, I don't do it. But you know what? My friends, use phone to cheat.
How about that? Well, Abid, I wish I had more time with you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for having me. Thank you.
All right, Abid Abedi is an expert on technology in the classroom and the founder of iCodeschool.com. And while he believes in technology, just not the phones in the class.
You're listening to Gary Rivers on News Talk 1480 WHBC.